you're an actual time traveler.
Yes.
From what year now was it again? You're from
29th century.
the 29th century.
Yes.
I can't even begin to imagine what life is like then.
Well, just imagine you went back in time. How could you explain to people what electricity is, you know?
So there's some things that you know from the 29th century that you would be reluctant to share with people
Yeah,
today.
and there's some things that you close out because people just don't understand them, don't want to understand them, they have ulterior motives, you know? And even things which are current, there are still people that resist technology and they want, if you read Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451, he had a vision of the future. George Orwell, whose name was Eric Blair, had a vision of the future in 1948 and he called it 1984. Now, when we read 1984, the year 1984 was way in the distant future. And we all thought we'd be traveling around in jetpacks like the Jetsons then, and it didn't quite happen that way, you know. And when Ray Bradbury wrote about Fahrenheit 451, now Fahrenheit 451 is the temperature at which paper burns. It ignites at 451 degrees Fahrenheit. And so the concept was that in the future the government didn't want people to read. This has happened a lot in the past, and people were illiterate and only few people could read, and therefore they had control of the whole situation. So, you know, while the technologies emerge, we also have to deal with the negativity, and wars come along, natural disasters come along. And here's a little thought I had, is that why didn't we go back to the moon after we got there? Well, I think what happened was the technology of the day was slide rules. And some little old dude got us to the moon using a slide rule, and then the kids came out of college with their computers, the 286s, and he said, what's all this junk and threw it away? They said, now get us back to the moon. They go, oh, what'd you do to that box? It's gone. So now how are you going to So I think we go backwards and we go forwards, and so I say I'm the man with three brains. The two brains up above are looking down and going, now what's he doing? So I wrote about it in the song. I said, he's a writer of science fiction. He's afflicted with this addiction. You should listen to his predictions, because he's always wrong. Now, you might think I already made some predictions years ago, because when I was working in Hollywood, I was in a movie called Independence Day, a movie called Waterworld, Meet Wally Sparks with Rodney Dangerfield, Showgirls with Elizabeth Berkley, The Man in the Moon with Jim Carrey, directed by Milos Forman, amongst a bunch of other TV shows like ER and Picket Fences and Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman and Babylon 5, and music videos with people like the Dixie Chicks and Matchbox 20, and one time I worked on the season finale of Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. It was a 2-hour season finale. I had my black top hat on and my bank executive clothes, and I was standing on the platform shaking hands with Jane Seymour, Dr. Quinn, and Orson Bean. And the very first train ever arrived through Colorado Springs in the year 1869. And they made a scaled-down version of the train that looked real. Everybody was so excited about it. And General Custer was sitting on a horse. So if you ever forget your dates in history, I always remember in the year 1869, General Custer was still alive. And the following day, I worked on a movie called, or a TV show called Babylon 5, set 500 years in the future. Now their concept is, well, when you talk about life in the future, do you automatically assume that it's going to be on Earth? Or do you think in terms of space stations like Star Trek? Or maybe there's a base on the moon, maybe it's a different planet, maybe it's another dimension. So we just don't have the concepts to deal with the reality now. How it is time travel a possibility? Well, I wrote a science fiction story. It's called The Elevator. And it's about an organic time machine. It's in the form of an elevator, and people step out into a restaurant or bar and they discuss different things that's gone on that day for them. One might be from Wyatt Earp's time, another one might be from... So I got a scenario of a couple of dudes sitting at a bar, and he goes, I got this really great state-of-the-art computer for you, Mr. Wyatt Earp era dude. It's called a 286 computer. You won't get any faster than that. Well, there was a day when that might have been true, you know, but it's like, it's all relative, you know. And I've actually seen examples of that in the real time of today, in the 21st century, There still exists computer repair stores.
When you were saying that, I imagined a scene of Star Wars where all the different creatures are all sitting
in the bar. Yeah, I've been in those bars. Yeah,
rather all different from each other, and
well,
somehow mingling.
You see, we also look from the inside out, and you know, a lot can be told from not looking at things, but from absorbing the energy of them. And I say, I look for positivity, and I gravitate towards love, peace, harmony, and rock and roll. And now I was also in a movie called the 60s, which was a mini series of 2 sets of 2 hours made for NBC. And it's been out a while now. It's the story of a brother and sister that lose themselves in the 1960s. And they find each other at Woodstock. And so I wrote myself into that movie. We were in Agura, where we used to do Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman, and I found a little stick. So I was doing thought transfer like this. And the cameramen go, oh, we got to find the stick, people, so you will see if you watch this movie. I have my long hair, which I keep in a bag, and I have my headband. And so I'm doing this mind control thing, which is what I imagine I would be imagining that I would be doing at Woodstock in 1969. And so then the camera pulls back from me and we see that we're at Woodstock. Well, we're actually in Agura, but that's all right, because they say it takes 25 years to become an overnight success. But I'm not that quick. It took me 30 years to get to Woodstock. So there's evidence I was there in actual year 1999, but the appearances was the year 1969. And when I think back to that, when you go back to any day in your life that you've lived, try reconstructing the whole day. What time did you get up? What did the air taste like? What did you have for breakfast? I mean, just take a year that you must have been here, 2005, August the 23rd. What was the weather like that day? Where were you? What city were you in? What state were you in? We archive the memories, and so we don't even have full access to every detail. You tell me what color shirt you were wearing that day. Now you'd have to go into hypnosis probably, unless you wore a red shirt every day of your life, you know, to know just exactly. You can't just go off the top. Some people go, I can't even tell you what I had for breakfast today, dude. You know, it's